Welcome to Off Grid Victory. So today I'd like to talk about knives on the homestead. Obviously a knife or knives on the homestead, living off grid, living on a farm is one of the most invaluable tools that you will ever have and need. And in this particular case, I want to talk about some specialized knives, and specifically I want to talk to you about butchering knives. So I have a bunch of knives here on my table here with some of the equipment that I use to butcher cows and to butcher deer. I'm going to show you a few of them, give you kind of a review as well as what I think of some of these particular tools and how I use it. So the oldest among all of these is this right here, and this is the Stora, the Mora knife. It's the Light My Fire version. In the back here it has a ferrocerium rod to start a fire. But the reason why I've had this knife for such a long time and used it for such a long while is because it is a Mora knife that is stainless. So let me see if I can focus up on that here. Anyway, okay, so this is the stainless version, made in Sweden. It's your standard Mower knife, but you can see there's different types of beveling, and in the back of it has a ferrocerium rod. So this is actually what I've been using for a very, very long time, probably over almost 10 years to do butchering. Now, you would think, why would I use something like this, a standard Mower knife? Well, because at the time it was one of the cheapest options, and it was the cheapest stainless steel option that I can keep sharp and use in the field. The only thing I would say is when butchering animals like deer and cows, I just take this portion of it off, the ferrocerium rod. It just clicks off, and then, yeah, because you don't want blood and gore and everything else to get on the lanyard, right? So anyway, this is, or was, my knife of choice over the years. And I do use it once in a while, but really for large-scale butchering, especially cows, you need the right tool. So what is the right tool for butchering? Or what are the right tools for butchering? So let's put this aside. So what I want to talk to you about are these blades right here. So first of all, let me show you this particular one. Now this is also a Mora knife, and then we'll talk about value and everything else after we're done. So this is a Mora knife. It is a fish knife. If you guys look into it and want to purchase it. But what's nice is it comes with this kind of sheath or scabbard or holster, whatever you want to call it, and it has this wide belt plastic one as well as the standard Mora clip like you see in the Mora knives like that. And of course, the real tool for this job, though, in terms of butchering large-scale animals, is a product made by, this is called F. Dick. Now, yeah, no jokes there. But it is made in Germany, and you got to excuse the Germans for these funny names, right? So anyway, F. Dick. I guess without that, we don't have a human population, right? So whatever. This is a fantastic tool, and this particular one is a flexible model of their boning knife. And then, so let me show you what I normally use for pretty much everything, and this is their regular bone knife. And so these are 6-inch models. I don't really like using larger blades than 6-inch. So anyway, this is the stainless steel model, and this is my preferred choice for pretty much butchering anything that is large. So this is what I use. Now there is a specialty item, and that's this right here, and that is kind of what we would call, I guess most people would call that a skinning knife, or a a normal large butchering knife to make straight cuts. But really it's a skinning knife, because you know, if you're gonna hide a cow or a deer, if you want to do that, you want to be able to run kind of between the actual muscle and the skin layers to get a nice fur out. And you need a pretty wide kind of kind of a draw on the knife, as well as a larger thickness to not poke through the knife. So you can see this doesn't really have much of a pointed edge. It's kind of beveled and has kind of a belly, so you can kind of make the large kind of movements and kind of the slashing movements to slowly skin the animal. So this is not a necessity, but it helps, and it is nice to have. And of course, it's nice to have a holster like that, and as well as some other things like just an apron for blood and things like that. The other thing that you absolutely need when butchering is steel, like a steel rod for sharpening. So this particular one is also an FDIC made in Germany, and it is that biblical concept of iron sharpening iron. So I would recommend steel over ceramic, and I would stick to brands like FDIC or Victorinox. And if you're on a budget, yeah, get the Chinese stuff. It works pretty well too. But I would go with the better stuff. And then in terms of the knives, these kind of boning knives, butchering knives, are not that expensive at all. Like this is the FDIC product is made in Germany. This Morakniv is made in Sweden. And I just want to give you an idea of kind of the flexibility of these knives too. So when I bone things and skin things with these knives, you can see just a quick comparison. This is the Mora versus the FDIC. You can see the belly of the FDIC is just slightly wider, and the Mora is slightly narrower. And in terms of the length, the Mora is just ever so slightly longer. They're basically 6 inches US. And what that entails you to do is poke around, move through the bones. And because it is stainless steel, these knives are really good for both salt water as well as blood, just for corrosion, right? And so to give you an idea of kind of the thickness, that's the Mora, and this is considered a fish knife, a fish scaling knife even. And this is the thickness of this particular FDIC boning knife. Now this is the flexible model. I don't know if you can read that. Yeah, right there it says flex. And this is what I would recommend in terms of the normal model to get. And you can see the thickness of that. So this is a lot more rigid. So this is the boning knife. There's the flexibility on the normal FDIC boning knife, and this is the flex. You can see this thing really flexes, and compared to the Mora, which is kind of right in between the two. So this is a very good knife for overall. I would say if you just are on a limited budget and you really can't afford expensive knives, multiple knives, things like that, I would just go with something like the Mora. I mean, it's proven, it's tested, it's very very cheap, and of course you get a sheath with it, which is very nice. Even though it's just a piece of plastic, it's extra money you don't need to spend, right? You don't need to go get a whole sheath like that. Now the main thing you do need is a good sharpener, and I would definitely recommend, even though it's a little bit more expensive, I would recommend a sharpening steel like this for butchering, so you can draw an edge nice and quickly, because you are going to dull this edge fairly quickly on large animals. So you definitely need a steel rod like this, a sharpening rod, to go ahead and hone your blade, as every time you work back and forth. And especially if you're trying to skin nicely, you definitely need a sharpening steel, because you want to ride right along the skin and the muscle or the fat and get that nicely off. So you need something like this with a belly. But like I said, if you're on a budget and you really can't afford anything else, just get something like this, a Mora, which is kind of in between this specialty FDIC, which is made to flex and bend and go around bones and things like that for a good cut, or this other FDIC, which is a little bit thicker, almost the same, but I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that well on the camera, but anyway, slightly thicker than the Mora. But once again, I would just get the Mora if you're on a budget and you want to use it for multiple things. I mean, it is intended for fish, and so you can see the actual belly of the knife is a little bit thinner than the F-Dick product. It kind of opens up more on the F-Dick, but you know, and of course, all these are boning knives, so they're pretty sharp at the tips to kind of stick in and get in. You can, like I said, use just this particular style knife, a boning knife, to pretty much do everything if you're on a budget for butchering. So I would recommend something like this for butchering. So this is the Mora fish knife, and this is the F-Dick boning knife, and this is the F-Dick flexible. So all of these run about 30 bucks, but the Mora definitely represents the biggest value, and they're all stainless steel. And if you really don't have any money and you kind of need the one knife that does it all, I'd recommend this guy right here, the Light My Fire version of the Mora knife in stainless steel, and that'll serve you for a very, very long time, plus 10 years. And none of these knives are full tang. They're not made like survival knives or bushcrafting knives or tactical knives in any way, but hey, if you're butchering a large-scale animal, these types of boning knives are a must, especially to go around the bones and to be able to sever limbs and such. And then, of course, the actual sharpener. Now, like I said, I would recommend a steel rod as this one, like an F-Dick or Victorinox. But if you can't get your hands on one, even just a diamond sharpening stone, well, I mean a diamond sharpening file or a sharpening stone would work as well if you're under, if you're on a budget. Alrighty, shalom.